Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking through a couple player props I like on Prizepicks for today's NBA slate on Thursday, February the 2nd. We got a decent sized slate for Thursday. We got 7 games tonight, guys. Usually on Thursdays it's like a really small slate, but today we got 7 games, so should be easy to find some props that stand out. I got 2 picks I like. Taking a first look at the board right now when I'm recording this video. As always, guys, I will be sharing a few more plays for today over on Patreon. If you guys do enjoy these Prizepicks videos, if they do help you out, you want more Prizepicks plays from me, you can check out the Patreon linked down below in the description. I do provide usually anywhere from like 2 to 5 additional plays each day. I will give a full write-up for each play I do provide on Patreon. That is always available, linked down below in the description. Check that out if you are interested. But before we do talk through our 2 plays for today, I do want to recap our plays from yesterday. We got lucky yesterday. I'll be honest. We took Draymond Green's over rebounds plus assists. We got bailed out with overtime. Draymond at the end of regulation had 12 rebounds plus assists, so we needed 4 from him. The game went to overtime, and he wound up getting 4 rebounds plus assists in overtime. I think he got his final rebound with 40 seconds left. The ball just I was watching the game because I was sweating it out, and the ball just bounced up in the air and it landed right in his hands. So yeah, we got a little lucky there with the Draymond pick going to overtime. But the other day we took Anthony Davis fantasy score. That game went to overtime and he still came up short. So I guess we kind of the DFS gods kind of blessed us today, giving us overtime and letting our guy hit his projection. But then we also took Eric Gordon's fantasy score. That was a play that hit pretty easily. Eric Gordon had a really good game. I think he finished with 36 fantasy points when we needed only 24.5. So hit both of our 2 plays on YouTube yesterday. On Patreon, we gave out 4 picks. It was looking like we were going to have a chance at a clean sweep on Patreon. Unfortunately, though, we took the over on Pascal Siakam's fantasy score, and he fouled out with 4 minutes left in the game when we needed just 4 fantasy points from him. Sweating that one down to the wire. Honestly, it was super annoying to see Siakam foul out with 4 minutes left. He had a chance to go over. And then we took DeAndre Ayton's fantasy score over as well. And Ayton was having a really big game, had a big first half, but the Suns lost by 40. So Ayton didn't play at all in the fourth quarter and came up just short on a random blowout. Go figure. But yeah, guys, hopefully we can hit our plays once again for today. Have another good day. Again, got 2 picks I like for today. Before we do talk through these 2 picks, make sure you guys hit that like button down below. If you guys do enjoy these Prizepicks videos, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks, if you have never checked out Prizepicks before, you can sign up with my promo code NOAH. If you look at the bottom of the screen, Prizepicks will match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. Definitely check them out if you guys have not yet. But the 2 picks I do like for today are both going to be fantasy score props. And we're going to go back to a guy that let us down the other day. You guys probably know who I'm going to. We're going back to Anthony Davis, 45.5 fantasy score. I like Anthony Davis to go over this line. I know he has not gone over this line his last 2 games, but what makes this play really stand out, for one, the matchup against Indiana is really good. This has been a really good matchup for centers all season. So far this season, the Pacers are allowing the 5th most fantasy points to the center position. Anthony Davis has had a lot of success in this matchup in the past. We'll talk about that in a second. But what makes me like this prop for today is that we're seeing Anthony Davis pretty much play full minutes. The game against San Antonio, that was his first game back from injury. He had a really good game, even in limited minutes, played just 26 minutes in that game, had 48.9 fantasy points. The game against Boston went to overtime. AD played 34 minutes in that game, so at the end of regulation, he played about 29 minutes. Worth noting, the game against Boston, he did come off the bench. He started the second half, but he did start that game on the bench. And then the last game against the Knicks, he did start that game, played 32 minutes in regulation, and then played 37 minutes for the game because that game also went to overtime. So the last 2 games, AD's gotten up to 34 and 37 minutes. Now, I don't know if that was the Lakers' plan to play him that much, but because the games went to overtime, they kind of had to play him those many minutes. But the fact that he was able to play 37 minutes last game makes me think we're probably getting close to, if not full minutes from AD here. AD in competitive games usually will play 35, 36 minutes when he's fully healthy. I think we're probably going to get about 32, 33 today, maybe a little bit more. Seems like, given his projections kind of across the industry, his PRA props, his fantasy score prop, I think the books are expecting AD to play full minutes here. And when AD's fully healthy, when he's playing 35, 36 minutes a game, 45.5 fantasy score is a line that he can easily go over, especially in this really good matchup. We talked about how friendly of a matchup this has been for going up against the Pacers, centers going up against the Pacers. And you look at Anthony Davis on a permanent basis, he has been super productive on a fantasy point per minute basis this season. He's averaging 1.59 fantasy points per minute. That's better than LeBron. That's the best point per minute rates on the team. He's got the second highest usage rate on the team, 28.3% usage rate. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a matchup that Anthony Davis has had a lot of success in. These teams have already played once this season. When they played earlier this season, AD had 59.6 fantasy points in 37 minutes. And then the previous year, in 2021, they played, I know I don't like to look too much into like previous seasons, but he did have 52.5 fantasy points in that game. So his last two games against the Pacers, he's had 52.5 and 59.6 fantasy points. This is a game that has a really, really high total. These are two teams that play really fast. So far this season, the Lakers, they're playing at the second fastest pace in the league. The Pacers are playing at the fifth fastest pace in the league. So both of these teams are top 5 in pace. Of all the 7 games today, this game has the highest total on the slate, 240.5 total. So there's going to be a ton of points scored in this one. The spread is 2.5, so this should be a competitive game. And I do want to mention, I don't think LeBron's going to sit out today, but LeBron is listed as questionable. By some chance, if LeBron does sit today, obviously that would be a boost for Anthony Davis, and getting his line at 45.5 if LeBron were to get ruled out would be even better. I don't think LeBron's going to sit, but I did want to at least mention that. But 45.5 fantasy score for Anthony Davis. I like him to go over this line. I think we're getting full minutes from AD tonight, 34, 35 minutes. And so far this season, he's played 33 plus minutes in 20 games. So he's averaged about 33 minutes per game this season. Do want to mention that, his season, like his minutes per game for the season are a little bit down the average just because there have been a lot of games where he's gotten injured or he hasn't played full minutes. Normally, like I said, normally in competitive games when he's fully healthy, he's going to play like 35, 36 minutes, but he's averaged 33 minutes per game this season. He's played at least 33 minutes in 20 games this season. And in those 20 games, he's over this fantasy score line in 16 out of 20 games. So, like I said, normally when he plays his full minutes, I would bank on him going over this fantasy score line, especially in a really favorable matchup like this against the Pacers in what should be a very fast-paced, high-scoring, and competitive game. So, I know he burned us the other day, man, but I've learned, I've been playing DFS for 7-8 years. I've been doing Prizepicks for almost like 2 years. You just got to have a short memory, man. Even if a guy burns you and you like the spot the next day, just take the prop. Don't. The people who say like, "Oh, this guy's banned. He's burned me too many times." Like, I don't do that. I try not to bet with my emotions. I try and just whatever I think the best plays are, just play those. Doesn't matter if the guy's hit for me or not. You just take it. So even though AD burned us the other day, we're gonna go back to it today. Give me AD to have more than 45.5 fantasy score. Then the next play I like, another fantasy score prop I want to talk about. We're going to go down to one of these later games, talk about Brandon Ingram. I took Brandon Ingram's fantasy score the other day. That was one of my plays I gave out on Patreon. It was the same line. It was 34.5 the other day. It's 34.5 today. He did go just over 36.3 fantasy points. It kind of came down to the wire. But this is kind of a similar situation. Brandon Ingram is also returning from injury. He's played 3 games since returning from injury, and his minutes have also started to creep up every game since he's returned from his injury. So the first game he played 25.5 minutes. The game against Washington, he played 29 minutes. And then last game against the Nuggets, he played 33 minutes. So he's played 26, 29, and then 33. His minutes are slowly starting to increase. The fact that he got 33 last game makes me think we're probably getting 34, 35 today, if not full 36. So I think we're getting full minutes from Brandon Ingram, 35, 36 minutes. And he's going to have really good usage with Zion off the floor. You look at this season with Zion off the floor, Brandon Ingram does lead the team in usage rate, 31% usage rate, averages 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So on average, when he plays 36 minutes without Zion, he's going to average over 36 fantasy points in those games. And I think we're getting like close to 36 minutes from Brandon Ingram here. I think he's pretty much fully healthy at this point. He played 33 minutes last game. His minutes have been increasing each game since coming back from injury. So I like Brandon Ingram to have more than 34.5 fantasy points today. I think this matchup against Dallas is fine. Dallas's defense this season, they haven't been like as strong as they've been in previous seasons. Dallas actually is in the bottom 10 in terms of defensive rating. They ranked 23rd in defensive rating this year. Now, they do have Dorian Finney-Smith back, who is a really good defender. Don't know if Dorian Finney-Smith will guard CJ McCollum in this matchup or if he'll guard Brandon Ingram. But I think either way, if we're getting full minutes from Ingram at this line without Zion Williamson, this line does feel a little bit too low, especially if Ingram is pretty much fully healthy now. And I do want to mention, kind of similar to the Anthony Davis thing, we talked about, when Anthony Davis has played full minutes, he's gone over this fantasy score line in a lot of his games. Well, when Brandon Ingram has played just at least 30 minutes, so 30-plus minutes this season, he's played 14 games with at least 30-plus minutes. He's gone over this line in 11 out of those 14 games. There's only been 3 games where he's played 30 minutes or more and has not had at least 34.5 fantasy points. He had 30.6 fantasy points in 32 minutes against the Spurs. He had 28.8 fantasy points in 38 minutes against Memphis, and then he had 18 fantasy points in 31 minutes against Portland. Every other game, all the other 11 games this season where he's played at least 30 minutes, he is over this fantasy score line. So we for sure should be getting 30-plus minutes from Ingram, if not 34, 35, given his minutes are increasing each game. And again, I think this projection is a little bit too low for Brandon Ingram if we're assuming he plays full minutes today, which I think we're getting full minutes from Ingram. I think we're going to get full minutes from AD as well. And both these projections, I think, are a little bit too low. So that's what I like for today, guys. A little 2-pick entry just kind of to start off the day. But again, guys, I'm going to be giving out some more plays over on Patreon. A few more plays, probably 2, 3, 4 plays. We'll have to see. It's not the biggest slate, so usually on like these 6, 7 game slates, I don't give out like a ton of plays, but it'll all depend on what kind of stands out. We're still waiting on some teams to get added to the board. I did just get a notification. I think Memphis, Jaren Jackson Jr. doubtful, and Danny Green out. So Jaren Jackson Jr. Doubtful. We'll have to see like what the Memphis projections look like when they bring those back up. We're still waiting on Warriors props as well. The Warriors probably going to rest all their guys, so like I'll have to take a look at those Warriors props once they get added. But I will be sharing a few more plays on Patreon. Check those out. Linked down below in the description if you guys are interested. But I do wish you the best of luck on this Thursday night slate, guys. Make sure you hit that like button. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you're new to Prizepicks, if you have never checked out Prizepicks before, you can sign up with my promo code NOAH. You look at the bottom of the screen or just in the description. Click the link in the description. It'll take you straight to Prizepicks. You sign up with my promo code, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But good luck tonight, guys. Thanks as always for watching the video, supporting the content. Appreciate you guys a ton. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.